Hello, friends. Welcome to Block Bytes. I'm sure you have heard about liquid staked ETH, like Lido's ST ETH and Rocket Pool's R ETH. But did you know that you can also stake your liquid tokens to get additional ETH rewards? In this video, I will talk about EigenLayer and why it is growing in popularity. Let's go. In a recent talk, CEO and founder Sreeram Kannan explained the purpose of EigenLayer. He starts by painting a picture of how things are in the current Web 2 world and then goes on to explain how EigenLayer brings the same perspective to Web 3. Let's take an example of a website we frequently use, like YouTube, and break it apart into the different pieces that make up this application. First and foremost, you have the website, the mobile app, and the database or data center. Within the website, you have many more individual parts that make it up. For example, the web server, the different technologies used, the different payment methods integrated into it, and several other purpose-specific pieces. So a modern-day Web 2 application comprises many such components stitched together to serve one goal, which in the case of YouTube is streaming video content. If you think about this further, all of these pieces are centralized, meaning under the control of one entity. For example, the web server is with Google or Amazon, payment processing is with Stripe, etc. In the Web3 world, to build a YouTube type product, you require all these individual pieces to be decentralized to make the final product genuinely decentralized. And this is EigenLayer's grand scheme. But why is this special? Aren't all apps already decentralized? To understand this, we need to dive deeper. You see, a blockchain is as decentralized as its number of validators. Yes, there are other factors like geographical location and client diversity that also contribute to the decentralization of a chain. However, a blockchain with 1,000 validators is more decentralized than one with 100 validators. So a more decentralized dApp would be one that runs on Ethereum than, say, a sidechain with fewer nodes. And so what EigenLayer does is reuse the existing decentralized network of Ethereum nodes to provide security to other blockchains or projects that otherwise cannot run on Ethereum, making them more decentralized and secure than before. Not only that, EigenLayer enables these other blockchains and the apps to dip into the vast crypto economy of Ethereum, enabling a flow of liquidity. Imagine that you are a small country and get into a trade agreement with a large country called Ethereum. This could potentially unleash economic and social prosperity in your country. Other blockchains, oracles, sidechains, all can benefit from EigenLayer, which calls itself a general purpose marketplace for decentralized trust. Trust in the massive decentralized network of Ethereum nodes is now available to anyone willing to pay for it in exchange for security. Okay, this sounds interesting. So how does it work? To reuse Ethereum's security, EigenLayer has created the concept of restaking. As you know, Ethereum's security comes from the ETH token staked by validators. It is this collateral that gets slashed if a validator goes rogue. And so this is what keeps them in check and in turn guarantees a secure network. ETH tokens are staked by becoming a validator with 32 ETH tokens or using one of the popular liquid staking protocols like Lido or Rocket Pool. Around 25% of all ETH tokens are staked on the network and protect the blockchain. What EigenLayer does is that it allows these staked pools of tokens to be restacked or restaked rather on other chains in effect extending the security blanket over other chains. In return for this extra work, the Ethereum validators and owners of staked ETH get rewarded in fees paid by the chains. And this is called restaking, a win win situation for all involved. The chains get what they want, which is more security and access to Ethereum's market. And the ETH stakes get a and ETH stakers get a new source of income over and above what they are already getting for securing the Ethereum network. But this also adds more risks. We talked about slashing before, with validators taking on new work for other chains, their slashing terms and conditions now also apply to your staked ETH. So you get more rewards, but could also be penalized for things you would not have otherwise. EigenLayer has introduced a few new terms that we should be aware of. First is AVS, or Actively Validated Service. These are modules that are interested in paying for Ethereum's security. For example, sidechains, oracles, DA layers, and other services that want to use EigenLayer to outsource their security to Ethereum fall into this category. Restakers are those people willing to restake their existing staked ETH tokens to secure AVSs. And operators are node operators in EigenLayer. By registering with EigenLayer, ETH stakers can delegate their staked assets, whether native ETH or LSTs. The node operators then opt in to provide a range of services to AVSs. A list of all AVS operators and chains integrated with EigenLayer is available on their ecosystem page. Okay, so now what next? How can I restake my ETH? If you have staked ETH in the form of STETH or RETH and many others, then you can deposit them on the EigenLayer app directly, as shown here. However, this operation is currently paused. According to EigenLayer's latest update, liquid restaking will be enabled from 29th Jan, starting at noon Pacific time till 2nd Feb noon Pacific time. You could use liquid restaking applications like EtherFi if you have ETH tokens. EtherFi lets you not only stake your ETH tokens in exchange for an LST called EETH, but also automatically restakes EETH on EigenLayer. Ultimately, you will receive the liquid staking APR, the restaking rewards, EigenLayer, and EtherFi points. Other restaking projects are KelpDAO, Renzo, RestakeFi, and Puffer. If you want details about these projects and how they differ, read this article by Shoal Research. All right, at this juncture, we understand what EigenLayer is, how restaking works, and how to restake. But there is one critical point we still need to look at: the risks of liquid restaking. Although many people have covered risks associated with restaking earlier, I want to focus on a recent post on X where a writer shared a list of risks and got a response by 13-year-old VC from EigenLayer. Let's start with the first risk: smart contract risk. On EigenLayer, slashing is currently a manual process, but it will be automated in the future. This leaves it prone to human error and creates a situation where validators could be slashed by mistake. To this, 13-year-old VC responded by saying that smart contracts are in every dApp, so this risk is present for every blockchain interaction and is not new to EigenLayer. Second, over leveraging. By now, you must be thinking, like I, that restaking is like over leveraging your tokens. And so surely that is adding more risk, which could lead to a contagion or domino effect affecting EigenLayer and Ethereum in turn, similar to what we saw in the Terra Luna USD crash. 13-year-old VC says that although EigenLayer is over leveraging, it is essential to understand for what. In the case of EigenLayer, this is only to provide economic security to AWSs and not for some degen financial spaghetti yield. Users can use the restaked tokens to engage in DeFi activities, but if they lose their tokens in degen play, it will not impact EigenLayer or Ethereum, which is a critical point. I do not entirely agree with this, and here is why. Technically, he is correct. For example, if you lose your restaked ETH in a degen play, you end up losing your own staked ETH and ETH logged into EigenLayer, which has nothing to do with Ethereum or EigenLayer. However, sentimentally, if this is something that impacts a lot of people, similar to the Terra Luna USD death spiral, then it will have impact on the price of Ethereum, something I wish never to happen. And third, centralization. EigenLayer is becoming increasingly popular, and the greed for extra yield drives its popularity. As they absorb more and more market share, they might become a centralizing force in the ecosystem, much like Lido. To this 13-year-old VC says, EigenLayer will shed its training wheels and adopt an increasingly additive path towards decentralization, meaning EigenLayer plans to reduce this risk by adding multiple security measures over time. The protocol being new will take time to mature. I am already restaking a tiny portion of my ETH into EigenLayer to understand it better. However, EigenLayer is also becoming prominent because of its vision to bring shared trust to the crypto ecosystem. It is already in talks with Cosmos to bring this shared trust to its application chains, which will give them access to security and much bigger market. I hope you like this video. Do like and share, and I will see you next time with another fresh bite. Bye.